Thank you, Franco, for joining us today as part of our Power Pages, A Decade's Journey with Friends. We're doing something a little different at Engineered Code here. We're celebrating our 10-year anniversary. So we've reached out to our friends in the Power Pages space just to ask them a few questions, ask them about their history with Power Pages. And obviously, when we started this, you were one of the first names that we thought of. So I really appreciate your time today and your willingness to jump on a call with me today and answer some questions.
No problem at all. Glad to be here, and I don't think my portal journey would have gone very far without Engineered Code's content and your community contribution, so thanks to you as well.
Okay, well, why don't you tell us a little bit about that journey? So tell us, maybe just introduce yourself, tell us what you do for a living, and more importantly, what do you do for fun?
Sure, absolutely. So I'm a Power Pages freelancer based in the UK. I'm all about travel, so I spend as much of the year travelling as I possibly can. The max I think I've managed so far is 5 months, so kind of running away from autumn and winter, trying to get as many summer months into my year as possible. So that's the eventual goal. I'll not let autumn or winter catch up with me. I'll just continually have spring and summer for the rest of my life. So that's travel either with my family. I've got 4 daughters, or sometimes it'll be solo for community events. And if it's not beach or coastal drive kind of weather, I'm into music, whether that's gigs, festivals, again with family, with friends, with community friends, all good. Checked out a rock bar in Vancouver with Paddy Byrne last month. Went over for Canadian Power Platform Summit. That was much enjoyed.
Yeah, that was a fun event in Vancouver for sure.
That was wicked, and we had some freakishly good weather, so it suited me all the more.
Yeah, so I was in Seattle and Vancouver for about a week, and I don't think I saw a drop of rain, which is unheard of.
Yeah, loving that. So when I kept saying I'm loving Vancouver, I'm definitely going to be back. Everyone else was like, just don't expect this weather. This is freakish. Like you shouldn't be out in the beer garden enjoying the sun in March.
Yeah. So think back all the way back. What's your first memory of ADX Studio, Power Apps Portals, Power Pages? Whatever the name is today. What is your first memory of the product?
Yeah, so to set the scene, I had some experience in web development. I dabbled with WordPress, helped friends with some customizations, done that as a bit of a side gig, and then I'd kind of parked that. My focus since 2006 was dynamic CRM, largely case management, but sales as well. So I'd been on the Microsoft stack for about 10 years when dynamic CRM portals came along. So I felt like it was a perfect marriage for what I was trying to do. I had the design skills, I had some web development experience, and I had that solid understanding of customer needs, pain points, where the bottlenecks were in these processes. So it was typically wherever we had to request something from the customer, wait for them to be available. There was so much lag time between, the customer supplied something, when's their case owner available to rekey that into Dynamics to upload it to mark the task as completed and push the workflow on. So when the self-service portal came along, it was like a no-brainer. It was like, this was designed especially for my customers and their use cases. Such good product market fit, and I think it's still true to this day that the most popular of the starter templates is customer self-service, because it was such a good fit for everyone that was already using case management, which I think just about every project I was ever on was some flavour of case management, however much customised.
Yeah.
But back then, as you remember, the documentation sucked what existed. So your blog, YouTube videos, the community content, what a big difference that made. And you were cool enough to have us as a guest a few times, especially when I was getting ready for my first Scottish Summit appearance.
Yeah, no, you always...
Frightening how long ago some of that is, actually.
Yeah, no, I think maybe I first kind of heard about you with your Spotify clone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that certainly got attention out there. So it's been Dynamics 365 portals, ADX Studio portals, Power Apps portals, now Power Pages. Which of those is your favorite?
I'd say Power Apps portals, and any of those with portals in the name anyway. Mm-hmm. So for me, that did exactly what it said on the tin. It was clear about the purpose, the use case. And although it was great to see that big launch of Power Pages, how much noise there was, how much demand and product awareness it brought around, I was like, who wrote that positioning? Was it someone that uses the product? What does it actually mean? And if I was new to it, would I get that the use case is portals and web applications? Because it kind of sounded like it was another WordPress or Squarespace or Wix or something like that, which that's not where its strength is. Not only is it not where its strength is, but it's completely underselling it. And there's some shaky terminology that just didn't make sense to me, like secure external facing business websites or something like that. It just seemed like a lot of words to badly describe portals. But that's
that seems to be a pretty common theme. The use of the word portals, most people like that. I think there were probably some reasons they couldn't do power portals. But I've been hearing a lot when I asked this question about the popularity of the word portals and how it seemed to be a very good description of what the product did. So,
Nikita, sorry to interrupt, but just thinking, since you mentioned that, Nikita always laughs when he's explaining, well, we didn't go with power portals because the domain was taken. So you probably think we've got powerportals.com, right? Or make.powerportals.com. Wrong, because that was also taken. So it just seemed like very little reason to have gone with Power Pages, but
yeah, I agree. So of all the features of Power Pages, which one is your favorite? Which one either do you like to use or do you think provides the most values to your clients?
This is probably a bit too lengthy an answer, but it's, first of all, I wouldn't say a feature as such, but the time to value. Time to value and how we totally punch above its weight for what we pay for Power Pages implementation. If it was features, I'd say code-wise, Liquid templating language was a fantastic choice. So I love Liquid, and I'm seeing the more I look around the rest of the web, the more there are other people making similarly great choices. Adobe using it, Shopify, of course, already use it, ConvertKit use it. There's so much power in such an easy to learn language. So for me, that just broke all kinds of barriers because I'm not a code first kind of builder. Of the configurable tools, it's a bit random, but the ability to filter actions with Fetch XML. So I use that on pretty much every project. Which actions do we want to allow for each status reason is usually what I'd use that for. And
I'm not sure. That's one of those ones where I'm not sure how many people, like, we try and spread the word about it, but it's, it can be a little hidden to find that because I think you got to toggle on the advanced settings to get to it, and so it can be a little trickier to find. Yeah,
and I think more so now, more is being exposed in the design studio. I think people are finding less and less reasons to go and use a management app, which unfortunately knock-on effect of that is things like advanced settings, fewer people are coming across.
Yeah.
But I definitely think it's one of those, once you've used it, it'll be part of your arsenal, and you'll be finding that as an unwritten requirement in so many projects.
Yeah.
But in terms of where the product's headed, I'm loving the native integrations with Stripe, DocuSign, Power Automate, and I think if the Power Automate integration came sooner, that probably would have been my answer, because it just opens up so many possibilities without having to touch much code.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think that's got the potential to be the biggest game changer or multiplier for what we can do with Power Pages. And what's amazing to me compared to when I was getting started 10 years before Dynamics portals was even a minimum viable product and a version 1 can have integrations now. That's so much different to when I first got into IT. Pretty much every project, the first thing we would do to de-risk would say, right, well, we're not going to do any of the integrations because that's going to take months or years and make the timeline just not viable. Whereas now it's like, well, we can show you a proof of concept in a couple of hours. We can have the final thing probably in a week. And yeah, happy with that.
Awesome.
So many of the Power Platform community are already skilled up in Power Automate and the connectors and DocGen. Perfect. Sorry, go ahead, Nicholas.
So I was just going to say, so lots of great features. Which is the one that you if you could wave your magic wand, you would maybe change, or what's your least favorite feature of Power Pages?
For me, I'd say not so much a feature, but a lack of feature. So it would be the lack of ability for us to choose what gets loaded with each page. So there's a lot that gets packed into the header, and I understand that that's for convenience and maybe not wanting to scare people off. But I just find a lot of pages end up needlessly heavy. So I particularly loved your tip, Nicholas, about leveraging the native entity form template, because that loads without the weight of the header and the footer. We could just hide the header and the footer, but we've still got that load time. There's no point pulling it all in just to hide it. So I'd like a configurable way to choose that lightweight loading of many of the pages, especially those that I use as endpoints. If I just want to reload a tiny part of a page, I don't want to say, well, here's a full 5 meg, 10 meg, 20 meg, just for the sake of one updated value.
Right.
But if we flip that and said, what's my wish list? I'd say, first of all, I'd like a liquid object for forms, similar to what we get with Entity List and Entity View. So we can access the metadata and lots of the benefits about out-of-the-box forms, but we can say, I'm providing the HTML. So I'm not necessarily restricted to say, it's got to be tables, it's got to be in this particular layout. And in a similar vein, I did mention this to the product team. I think it'd be great to see a configurable way for lists that says, I'm specifying the HTML, or I can configure that when I output that list as cards, accordions, tabs, etc. Because so many times on pretty much every project, we'll end up replicating lists in some way, shape or form, but then you realise just how much you do get out of the box, like configuring the actions, filterable actions, the metadata filters, the sort, the search. It'd be great to be able to leverage all that, but to say, here's some completely different output.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea too. I don't think I've, it kind of takes me back to the old, like, if you had some sort of like ASP.NET repeater that you could kind of control some of the inner workings of. So yeah, no, that's a great idea. So if you ran into someone who's just starting their very first Power Pages project, what would be the one piece of advice that you would give them?
Kind of similar to what I would with someone starting out in Dynamics or model-driven apps, and that's learn the extent of what you get out of the box. Sorry, I always end up using that term, out of the box, but what comes packaged with portals, all the way from Font Awesome, jQuery UI, jQuery, liquid templating language, Bootstrap. Learn all the configurable tools so you fully understand that tool set before assuming you have to custom build everything. So like, for example, going back to the list actions, I had a couple of projects where I did build something similar with jQuery, and it was only a project or two afterwards that I stumbled across it in the advanced settings, and it turns out that it made much easier work of what I'd custom built. Cool.
Yep. No, that's great advice. So is there anything you want to plug? Any product, services, upcoming events, blogs, anything coming up for you over the next little while here? These will be released in May, so nothing for April. That won't be too helpful, but anything kind of June, or what about Scottish Summit?
Cool. Yeah. Well, first of all, I've got 2 new offerings this year. I've got a group coaching program where I'm going to take cohorts of makers each time to join me each week and build along their live portal, and an online course as well, Power Pages Mastery. So you can check out those at francomusso.com/group-coaching or francomusso.com/power-pages-course. And absolutely, Scottish Summit, we can see you there in October. That would be awesome. My absolute favourite community event. But then a podcast by 2 good friends of mine, John Russell and Mike Galland, Sprint Zero. Highly recommend you check it out. They're hilarious. They're really good interviewers, and they're just punching above their weight. They've got some serious big names on, loads of variety of content, and there's as much coverage of things like mental health, neurodiversity, all our crazy varied backgrounds, as well as there is the tech. So
cool.
Definitely get a few laughs out loud with that.
Okay, well, Franco, again, thank you so much for joining me today. Like I said, you've been a great addition to the Power Pages community. You're doing lots of great stuff. You're I know you're spending a lot of time on whether it's blog posts or helping run community events, all that sort of stuff. So it's great to call you a friend, and really appreciate your time with us today.
Likewise, pleasure to be here, and thanks again for all your help, Nicholas. All the best. Here's to the next 10 years.
Hear, hear. All right, thanks, Franco.
See you later.